Hi, I'm Susan Kennard, and welcome to the Spiritual Awakener. This is a podcast where I get to interview and talk to cool people, amazing people that have helped people transform their lives because they had a turning point or a spiritual awakening that led them to understand they were so much more than this mind and this body. If you want to hear my spiritual awakening story, go over to episode 1, where you're going to find it, and you'll hear all about my visitation in the night. So I'm really excited today to interview my very good friend, someone I've known for, well, we were talking before we recorded, and it was like 15, 16 years ago we met, which really does date us, but we've been in touch on and off throughout that time, and we come from a similar background, but I'm going to let him tell you about that in a moment. So please welcome my very good friend and medium colleague, Alan Acton. Alan, thanks for being here.
Pleasure.
Brilliant. I'm so pleased that you agreed. I badgered Alan a little bit to come on my podcast because it's funny how you know someone and you perhaps might not be in touch on and off throughout the years, but there's always a little part of you that remembers them. And you came up in my conversation, didn't you, with one of my groups? And I spoke about you, and it was literally, we connected, didn't we, again?
No, we did.
So Alan, how come you became a medium?
Well, actually, it was born into my family. Many years ago, because my background actually comes from Romany gypsies.
Yeah.
But my family history goes back to northern India.
Wow.
Where they travelled all through Europe and every other country until they landed in the south coast of Sussex.
Oh, wow. And I'm in the south coast of Sussex. I live in, we're recording this. I'm recording this in Sussex, East Sussex in the UK, in May, actually. But so they essentially landed here where I am.
Yeah.
What town?
Landed, I don't know what town, because you go back to the 1700s.
Yeah.
Well, they came over there in their horse-drawn caravans and all that kind of way. Then they moved from the south coast of Sussex up towards Kent.
Wow. And where are you now?
In Kent.
You're in Kent. How weird. How weird. We probably go way back, huh? In lifetime after lifetime. Yeah.
That's
and
our
I saw that
gift.
as you were talking, those carriages, and I saw that. And I think it would have been quite a hard life,
Very hard, very.
Yeah.
It's never easy.
Yeah.
I learned those traditions from them, because in those days, the 6 times granny removed used to do crystal ball readings and palm readings, because you weren't allowed to call it mediumship in those days.
Yeah. And we're so lucky to live in these times now, aren't we?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
We can speak
a lot more now than we ever could.
Yeah. It's so amazing to be, and so many people waking up, aren't they? So what happened? So you came from, that background, that lineage, but was there something that, woke you up, really?
The first time I ever experienced a spirit person was in my nan's back garden where she used to live, and he was a little black boy. And she couldn't see him, but I could.
Wow.
And to me, it was quite a normal, I thought, a normal chatty little black boy that just suddenly
in the
came
garden. Yeah. How old were you? 6. Wow. Yeah.
And she shouted at me because I was talking to this boy, but she said there was no one there. And that's what she called me mad, loopy, and.
But that happens, and that still happens today, Alan. And this is a really good point. If you're listening to this, firstly, you've been guided to listen to this because it was important for you to hear this message. But also, this happens to our children today.
Yeah, because they're susceptible.
I have
to
2 children,
spirit,
as you know, and they're both very psychic.
Oh yeah.
And
I think all children are.
They all are. Well, we all are.
Yeah.
Just if it's kind of suppressed.
Well, it is suppressed. I think you're put on this earth for a reason. To use the gift, more so when you're older than you're younger.
Yeah, absolutely. To remember who you are, right?
Yeah. Well, it's to ground you more.
Yeah.
Also to make you feel that you're not losing your marbles and you're not going mad.
Yeah.
And they tell you the truth more than what any human being does.
Well, of course, because that's the, dare I say it, indoctrination of
Yeah,
what everyone has to do
that's right.
to learn, like in education and so on. That's another story.
Yeah.
But so let's go back to that. So you were 6 years old. So you were told, and you know, your nan or your gran probably just did what she thought was right.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
you know, so that you weren't embarrassed later on, you know,
No.
in
Oh,
school or in
no.
life, right? But what happened?
Well, because she came from a quite a wealthy background. My nan's nan's nan. They come
Yeah.
from quite a wealthy background. But it was my granddad that was actually come from the Romney side.
Ah,
So he wouldn't mock me. He just said that I was mad, looping, whatever, but in
yeah.
a laughy kind of way.
Yeah.
And then it
Yeah.
disappeared for years and years, but then came back again when I was about 13, 14 years of age.
Wow. And that's a real pivotal time in someone's life
Oh,
anyway, isn't it?
it
Yeah.
is. And I
Yeah.
was still seeing people there that no one else could see, and I used to say what they told me to say. I was just called mad, crackpot, and I need psychiatric treatment and
Yeah.
everything else. And my mum
Yeah.
was actually going to take me to a psychiatrist when I was 16.
Wow. Thank goodness you didn't end up
No,
going.
no,
No,
because all
thank
the proof I
goodness.
was getting, she experienced more or less the same thing, so she had to believe me.
Yeah. But this happens, you know, this happens a lot. We always laugh about this and say, and it's not
Oh,
funny
yeah.
really, but there's a fine line between mediumship and madness, right?
Yeah, oh, definitely.
And there are some people, unfortunately, that are unwell and are getting voices that are not from pure spirit, our guides,
No, that's
loved
right.
ones. So we have to also put that out there. That
Well, I think you can differentiate between people like me and people in the psychiatric ward.
well,
Because you look at people in the psychiatric
absolutely,
ward and they're talking to people that no one else can see, but are
of
they really talking to people or not?
Of course, that's so funny. But what I am saying, and it's really for the purpose of anyone listening in, if they feel that they've got voices in their head, if those voices are coming from love, then you can be damn sure that those voices are from love. And if they're not voices that are, you know, kind or loving, then they're probably not from your guides, and they're probably not from source. And that I think is really important to say.
It is important to say, because most people then want to go and see a doctor or a psychiatrist for what? What can they do?
Yeah. And then medication, and that's another story
medication,
too.
Antidepressants. It's not a good thing. It's all to do with lack of understanding the knowledge that you've been given.
So what happened after, you know, so you were 13 and this started to open up, and what happened after that?
Well, at that age, I was quite a leery person then.
Were you?
So I would swear at them, and I'd even invent swear words just to get rid of them. And they disappear, then they come back 6 months later, try again. The same procedure went on for years.
Yeah.
In the end, I just gave up and said, what do you want me for?
Yeah.
I just followed exactly what they told me to do. I didn't always do as I told, so I suffered the consequences of getting things wrong, embarrassing myself.
Yeah.
Until I actually accepted that what I've got, not many people have got.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen so many mediums over the years, and they haven't done themselves justice at all. And I know that.
I agree.
And that's why I differentiate between the psychic and the medium. I'm not a psychic.
No, same. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's it. And when I teach my groups and when you teach as well, it's like we're teaching the understanding of a medium is exactly what that is a channel from your loved ones or your guides to impart a message. And psychic is a very different vibration. And psychic is really helpful for people, don't get me wrong.
Oh, it can be good. It can be good being a psychic, but most people want proof from their families.
Exactly.
Like how to win the lottery and
exactly.
find dead dog in the garden and everything else.
Yeah, there's different ways. So then that led you to kind of realize that, you know, resistance is futile. What my guides say quite often is resistance is futile, right? So you can't stop it. Like, you know, you are that being of light. You are here for a reason. What happened then after that?
Well, it's like being chosen. You're chosen for this special pathway in life that I didn't want. I really did not want to talk to ghosts.
Same.
So I accepted it and I put up with it. We came to an understanding that they only talk to me when no one else is around.
which is
I
good.
couldn't
Yeah.
respond. Because most mediums always get a link with the spirit world on a telepathy. Well, I actually hear them in my ears. So that's how I can actually be so precise in what they say.
And I love that, because but
I
I think that, Alan, is because, like me, I didn't want it either, and that was 30 odd years ago. But I didn't want it, you didn't want it, and I think we had to have something really specific like that to actually go ahead with it.
Well, you've got to appreciate what you've got, what you've been given. But it's only because I looked back at my family history and realised that 6 grannies back, she was one as well, because she'd done the crystal ball and the palm readings, which they were known for, and tea leaf readings, which she was known for.
Yeah.
And I inherited the gift from her. But the more generations that have gone on from her, it's just got stronger and stronger and stronger.
Yeah.
And I'm like inherited the bullet. But the one thing about my gift is I've never ever promoted myself. My passageway into different places have always been through word of mouth.
And the universe, we always say the universe is our market, right?
It is.
It is just really visibility. And that's probably one of the reasons why we connected again. And I invited you on the show, because I feel like it's my job to help people really stand on their mission, right?
So I think even with what's going on now with this pandemic, I think truthfully I can actually count that I've done near enough 49 free readings.
Yeah.
I know people can't afford it, or they haven't got the money, so why should I charge you? It's a God's gift.
Yeah. But but so if you're listening to this, that that doesn't mean that you bombard Alan with lots and lots of phone calls and messages and stuff like that, but just be discerning with that, be discerning with that, because and we had a conversation about that recently, and it's just being discerning with it. So if you really can't afford it, perhaps think about a donation to Alan.
Well, donation.
A donation to a church, donation to whatever. So just think about that exchange of energy. But anyway, we'll go back to that a bit later when we talk about how people can reach you. But so what happened then? So how did you actually get to, really call yourself a medium or be that for people?
Well, the biggest inspiration in my life from a medium's point of view was Doris Stokes. And I queued up hours and hours to go and see her at the Lewisham Theatre, but I'd never got in because it was packed.
That's showing your age, Alan. You know that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I was so fascinated by her, so I bought all her books, read the books.
Yeah.
Even got the long playing album when she was at the Palladium and listened to everything she did.
Wow.
And it just fascinated me more and more. And so that's when I decided to buy books and read about the history of spiritualism. I didn't want to read just someone's comments and views of when I was a child, I got this. I wanted to read about the old time mediums that worked hard at what they did and what they got.
Yeah.
And to prove it. And that's why I decided I wanted to try and prove to people what I've got is what I've got.
Yeah.
And
the evidential side, kind of really saying, actually, it's not just me. This is something that has come down through many times.
Many generations. So I just started to do all the churches. I never promoted myself. Someone always recommended me. Then after years and years and years, I got an audition at the Spiritualist Association of Great Britain, which was in London, Belgrave Square.
Which is where I met you.
Yes.
The SAGB.
And I'd done the audition and they turned me down flat.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
Which surprised me. But then I got a letter, I think about 3 days later, from Stella Blair saying that they'd made a terrible mistake. And
they meant to turn someone else down.
So they invited me back to start working there, which I did.
Yeah, wow.
And I remained there for 10 years.
Yeah, and we met then. That was, I would have met you 15, 16 years ago at the SAGB. Yeah, wow.
And I've been left there now 10 years, or near that mark. No, 6 years actually I've left there now. But I wouldn't go back because I've done my time.
You've done that. No, you've done that. Yeah. And there's also the College of Psychic Studies, which is where I started my journey, and then I went on to SAGB. But the CPS is also great. So if people are listening to this and they happen to live in London, we don't live in London, but that's where we actually did work at that time. We did attend there. They are in South Kensington and Victoria in London, and people can find them all over the internet.
And they got a wonderful reputation.
And they're doing a lot of online stuff now. I know the
Yeah, I
CP.
noticed that. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, most people are, right?
yeah. And I've been all around the world as well to different countries promoting my mediumship. Well, not promoting it, just doing it.
Just being, just
Yeah.
being.
And I was on
So
American TV and American radio as well. So
yeah. So, you know, so the thing is when you are living your mission, when you are really being who you're meant to be in the world, then the world opens up. And I always talk about this, the world opens up for you. So
yeah,
Alan, what would you say was, I got your spiritual awakening point where you were 6. What would you say was the turning point that made you realize, oh my God, I'm meant to help people. I'm meant to help people realize that life goes on?
19.
Yeah. What
I was
happened at night?
19 years of age. I actually did my very first reading when I was 19. It was for a friend of my mum's. And she wanted to give me money for it. And I said, no, I don't want the money for it. But she still gave me £2.50.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I wouldn't take it, but she just left it on the table.
yeah.
And after that, she just spread my name around, and I got more and more people come and see me.
Wow, wow.
And I've had a variety of nice people, horrible people,
Yeah,
people that mock me, and people that say I'm
yeah,
working with the devil. I've also had some very weird people as well.
yeah,
I actually found very disconcerting, and I've not done reading for them.
yeah,
There
yeah.
was one
Well,
case, I did a reading for a girl, and I found out that she actually tried to communicate with her parents on their gravestone in the cemetery.
hmm,
So that I would not do.
yeah. Oh, so she was obviously quite troubled. You,
Oh, definitely troubled.
yeah,
I couldn't help her. She needed to help herself.
yeah, yeah. So
Uh,
what type of people, I mean, this is a silly question really, but just if you're listening to this and you've never heard a medium talk before, I know you know that I am a channel for source, but I don't talk about mediumship that much in my work. But so if you're listening to this and you're thinking, well, kind of, what would it look like a reading? What could you help people with, Alan? How would it look?
well,
I know everyone's different, but
I think when you go and see a medium, it is based on proof of life after death.
yeah. So what would happen in a session? What would happen for
Well,
somebody?
if someone comes in here now to see me, I've got to get one of their relatives, and I've got to give a description of that relative, how they died, what they were like. You know, it's like a big personality makeover. They're still here, how they died, what they suffered with.
Yeah,
Then you go into what they want to say.
yeah, yeah.
And that is the proof that people need.
Yeah. So if you're thinking about having a mediumship reading with Alan or anyone else you feel drawn to, then what you're going to get from a good medium, I have to say,
Well, yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
oh, yeah,
because you know we have to be discerning,
yeah,
is evidence. And whenever I
yeah,
teach,
that's
it's 3
important.
good pieces of evidence. I always say find 3, and then
Yeah,
a really beautiful, uplifting message. And
yeah,
so you don't hear really from mediums doom and gloom. And I have to
no,
say that if you did hear that from a medium, that's not coming from source, their loved ones. That's coming from that medium
yeah,
and their stuff, isn't it, Alan?
yeah. And some other mediums actually feed on negativity to relay it back to you in
Yeah,
a different way as if spirit are telling them, but they're not.
yeah, I agree. So you have to be really discerning with that. And the way that you can do that is to really just put your hands on your heart. And if you feel drawn to that person, ask, is that for my highest and best
Yeah,
good?
that's
And
right.
they'll be drawn to that person, won't they?
Yeah, yeah,
To
no,
the reading.
definitely.
So you were 19, so you started doing these readings. So how did you get to from 19, kind of like jump me forward a little bit?
Oh. Well, I think once after 19 or maybe 21, 22,
Yeah,
that's when I was asked to do different churches around London. Like you do the
yeah,
rounds of Lewisham, Fulham, Chelsea, Wimbledon, and I done the rounds, but there was, and I've never had an ego, and I still haven't, and I don't
I
intend to
know.
have one.
Mm,
So I just done the work, left the church, never got into about 11:30, 12 o'clock at night because of the distance. But it never bothered me though,
yeah,
because I was, if you can reach out to one person out of 6 or 6 out of 6,
yeah,
then you've done a good job. But
yeah,
proving life after death was something, and still is,
yeah.
something I love doing.
How many years you been doing it?
Oh, 41 years.
41 years.
Yeah.
And so some people might say, well, how do you, you know, like, are you trained? Are you qualified, etc.? So tell us about that, because I know.
Well, I was trained actually by the spirit world and the guides. I've never sat in a circle. I've never sat in a development class.
Incredible, yeah.
And I've not been trained by no one, because I think the best lessons you're ever going to learn are from those on the other side, not anyone living.
I know, but some people, you know, the thing is, there are some mediums, and we know that haven't got perhaps the best way of delivering a message,
no,
and
that's right.
the best way of being essentially a spiritual counselor. So the way I like to look at it is, yes, you have that ability. You're very direct, you're straight down the line, but you give very good evidence and messages, right? We have fun, you know, together doing it. But when I teach, I always say to people, like, you are the spiritual counselor. So the information that you're getting, so not everybody will get it from their guides that way.
No, they don't.
Need to kind of really deliver it in a sensitive way.
Yeah.
Because
and it's finding the right teacher as well to do it.
Absolutely. And the guides will be very direct, and as they are.
Oh yeah, no, to me they're like teachers in a school or a college.
Yeah,
the more
exactly.
You learn, the more you go up.
Yeah. And so with that directness, not always, sometimes they'll come in with something and you have to kind of almost a little bit filter it through so that when you deliver it.
Yeah.
So I get that you were trained by them, and that's perfect, but not everyone needs it to be.
Not everyone does.
No.
I keep asking, why was I chosen for this?
Yeah.
There's not very many people who've got a kind of gift that I've got.
Exactly.
And I wonder why. I still wonder why.
I mean, the thing is, you know, perhaps you will have chosen that from time before time and lifetime before lifetime.
Yeah.
But to be that representative of somebody who is very straight down the line, you know, you don't get any muffly rubbish sitting on a cloud with Alan. You get it exactly how it is. And that's why I really wanted to interview you today, because, and we're interviewing in May, so it's the 7th of May. It's actually a full moon today in Scorpio, which is all about endings and new beginnings. So there is no mistake that we're doing this today. But so Alan, so then you were working on the platforms in London. I've been there, I know what that's like. And what happened after that?
After the churches, that's when I went to the Spiritual Association of Great Britain
to teach
and to do mediumship and everything else, which I never knew what to do. I just followed what the spirit people told me to do and say, and I did. Now I got invited to other countries to go and serve out there, which I did. And so far, I think it's about 10 different countries I've been to.
Amazing.
And I've been to the US probably about 7 times to do this.
They love Americans. I mean,
they love it. They love English mediums because they haven't got no decent ones out there to do it the way we do it.
They love the English accent. So a lot of people listening to this will be American and all over the world. And I know that when I went out to San Diego a couple of times in the last year, they love the English accent.
Yeah, they do. They do. No, I've been all over.
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed every minute of it. I wouldn't do it now, but I still got a lot of clients that I talk to on Skype or other things and do readings for them then.
Exactly. So how can they, so basically if they want to, we definitely haven't finished, but I just want people to know that if they want to get a hold of Alan, they just want to check you out, how do they check you out?
Well, I'm on Facebook.
You're on Facebook. So you're on Facebook as...
Or my email address.
Yeah, so we've got Alan Acton. That's what you are on Facebook, aren't you? So Acton. And do you have a website? No, so he just has the Facebook because he hates websites. So you can find him on Facebook. Are you on any other social media?
No, that's it.
No, just that. So you can message him privately and say hi. You've got a group though, haven't you? You've got a group on Facebook. What's your group called?
Oh, I've got loads of people on Facebook.
No, a page that people can find you on.
Yeah, there is a page on there, but I don't know what everyone's on it.
Yeah, you can't remember what it's called, but they can find you, and they can also, you know, contact me as well. So if you can't find that for some reason, you can't find him somewhere in that ether,
just contact you.
You can find me and Susan Kennard on Facebook and across all social media. So find Alan on Facebook, check him out.
Oh yeah.
But the fact that I know him very, very well, and obviously we've done readings for each other and stuff and had fun with it. I totally, and in fact, I've actually worked with you. We did a dem together. That's what I'm just remembering and reminding myself. We've actually worked together. So I highly, highly recommend him. And you've got my kind of, you know, like tick box. So if you really feel like you want some really good evidence, then find him definitely and send him a message and set up a reading. So, okay. So after that, you were teaching at the SAGB, running courses, doing readings. What's happening now with you?
Well, I still get a lot of clients that come and see me, and I still Skype and talk to people online. With clients. And later on this year, when the virus is gone, as I say, I'm going to be writing my first book.
I know, but I want to take you back a little bit. Because what do you help people with as well, with the collar?
Oh yeah, because I'm a minister as well.
So he's a minister, and what does that mean? What can you do?
Well, it means legally I can actually marry people, bury people, christen people, do blessings and whatever that requires. As long as I've got a registrar, then I can conduct any marriage or
see, that's really beautiful.
And I love doing it.
Yeah, and you know, when we think about our soul, you know, when we pass over, our body that you see, you know, in the crematorium or wherever it is, you know, in the ceremony, it's just the jacket.
That's it.
You know? So when you do those ceremonies, I'm sure they're really beautiful.
Oh, really, well, I do my best. Yeah.
You know, it's only for the living, right?
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, the body is just, like, as you say, like a jacket potato, no filling anymore.
Jacket potato. Jacket potato.
But when the spirit comes back, they're quite real and they're quite solid, but they're just much better now.
Yeah, and they sometimes show themselves, don't they, as sort of age 20 or age 30, 40. They don't want to show themselves necessarily what they were. Sometimes.
Well, I always say, when you come back, why do you want to come back looking old, wrinkled, grey, and all bent over when you come back looking young, youthful?
Exactly.
Because you still remember your relatives even when they were younger.
Yeah, exactly.
Or photos of them.
Yeah, exactly. And they do that a lot, don't they?
Yeah,
they don't really want to harp on about what happened. They'll say it, but they don't want to harp on too much.
Well, I think a lot of mediums, they go on about how they died, how they suffered, but we know that. So why do you want to go on and on about the way they died, the way they suffered?
With you on that so much.
You don't need to do that. You just need to describe him, her, how they suffered, and that's it.
Yeah.
Much detail of the person, not how they died.
And that's more about evidence, isn't it? So the person knows who it is.
Well, yeah, and you give a client the personality of the spirit, that is worth more gold than saying, oh, she riddled in pain, oh, she got skinny. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
So the personality is more important. Lack
of breath, that's a good one.
Well, everyone always says, oh, bad chest condition. Well, the living get that as well.
Yeah.
No, it's just, I call it poor training on the medium's part to do all of that, and it's not fair.
Yeah.
So to me, that is disrespect to the spirit person.
So what made you decide to be that minister? What made you? What was the turning point there that made you? And don't just say your guides told you.
No, he didn't actually. It's something I never thought I'd ever want to be. But for some reason, I just wanted to take the plunge and see what it was like.
Yeah.
And I've got my certificate on the wall. It gives me a certificate saying I'm a now minister. But I wanted to, as I say, climb up the rankings.
Yeah.
Of how far can you get? And I'm on quite a high level now.
Amazing.
I take the work. As a normal human being, I'm just like everyone else, rude, crude, vile and funny and witty. As a medium or a minister, I take it deadly 200% serious.
Yeah. Yeah. Excuse the pun, right? Deadly. Yeah. But yeah, I know, absolutely. And I agree with that. because it's about having fun with it,
Yeah.
but really taking, like, I'd never have a drink when I'm doing mediumship. I'd never do that. I really do honor that ability to talk to those.
You know, that's right. You
chosen to
should.
come in.
You should.
And I think that's key, really, about
It
respect.
is. I think it is the key. You find the key as the years go on, and what's important and what's not important.
Yeah.
And also, I think what's made me feel to go more now is losing my brother last October, and my sister died on New Year's Day this year.
Oh, yeah.
So that has surged me forward now to find out more, do more, and promote spiritualism and help people understand the difference between a psychic and a medium, living and the dead, ghosts or spirits.
Yeah. Which leads me to talk about, which we had a conversation in the garden, not physically in the garden, just to say, but on Facebook Messenger, about your book, because we were talking about my book, and then I said, what about this book then? And so it's time, right?
I think it's time now, because anyone can write a book. The 7 Steps to Heaven, or The Spirit Told Me This. And I always think all the books I've ever read, Doris Stokes again was the best books I've ever read, and I've still got them. But she was realistic, she was honest, and she never proclaimed to be this marvellous woman with voices in my ear. She was ordinary from Lewisham.
Yeah.
And even though she was my icon and still is, I want to write a book about the spirit people, not about me.
Amazing.
I want people to know what they've done for me, how they did it for me, where they got me in life, because I would never be where I am now as a minister or a medium without them.
And it was a deal, wasn't it? It was like a deal.
It was a deal from years when I was 18.
Yeah.
I made the pact, and I'd done things wrong. I got reprimanded by them, but why not? It's learning.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but the years have gone on, and I'm now a minister, which I take deadly serious. When I see how the mediums work, I normally get told off and asked to leave. Then it's my critical way I am, because I feel if you can't do it properly, don't do it at all.
Let's call it evaluation.
That's it, evaluation.
Let's call it evaluation, yeah. And I mean, I suppose there are ways of evaluating people.
There is.
You know,
But it does all come down to the training again on who you sat in development class with.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that it is important, if you're thinking about being a medium, or if you've heard, you're listening to the story and you think, oh no, I can do that, and I've been getting that for a long time. That's really great and amazing, and everyone has that ability. But it's really important to take responsibility for it as well.
You've got to take responsibility for your own actions, the way you conduct yourself, but also the way you give the message across.
And what the guys are saying to me is ego, and this is one of the
you can't have an ego,
isn't it? You've got to get out of the way of that, right?
The person that's coming to see you wants compassion, guidance, and proof, not to be mocked or certified or be made misery.
Yeah, yeah.
So some mediums, yes, I've known some very good mediums over the years, even from the SAGB. But I've also known some mediums that should not be working at all, because they're only in it for the money, and that's wrong.
Do you think as well that it's a real personal development journey, isn't it? If you want to work with people, it's it's really about knowing who you are.
People,
and
they've got to understand you. So I always think the connection is more important between the sitter and the medium.
Exactly.
If you can't get that connection, it's out the window, it's gone.
I know, and that and that's the thing, and when you're in your perhaps when you're in your ego with that, or you're in fear of it, or you think I should and I have to make this person, realize that I am a medium, that's the wrong reason for doing it.
Yeah, no, it's the wrong approach.
Yeah.
And I've known plenty of them that have got such a big ego, they promote themselves the whole time. And it's just for their own self-ego.
Yeah.
So they've got to remember, where did they get the gifts from in the first place?
Yeah, sure. So what would you say then, Alan, so your book is the next project, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
You can do that in a weekend.
Yeah, but I've got someone to help me anyway.
Oh, that's good.
So she's going to help me.
Yeah. And that sounds like an amazing story as well, like for people to read, because from a different perspective
Yeah,
of
totally,
who
totally.
our guides are, you
Well,
know.
I think who wants to know all about me? They want to know about me. I can tell them. I want people to know what is the world of spirit like. What do they do there,
Amazing.
and how do they converse, talk, and
Yeah.
what do they do? They don't sit on clouds strumming a harp, singing "God be with me."
No, they don't.
They're actually real people living in. They call it the real world. We are in the world of spirit here
Yeah.
because
And
we are
so
the spirit.
can you, like, I run my mediumship group. I run it online actually. But what are you thinking about doing that? Are you thinking about teaching?
Well, me and my friend Judith, who lives up the road, and she's medium as well. We've actually spoken about this, hiring
Yeah.
a hall and opening it up and running proper development classes.
Yeah, I'm feeling that actually
Yeah.
as I'm talking to you, and I'm feeling like, it'd be amazing if people can actually physically meet as well, which will come soon, I'm
Well,
sure.
that's right.
But in the meantime, it's good to do things online as
Well,
well.
it is. It is. It
Mm.
is keeping that connection open, which I
Yeah,
think is important
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I
because
agree.
there's still a lot of misery and upset. But as long as we can do what we do, then it gives people a little bit of hope.
It does, absolutely. Well,
Mm.
I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation.
I have.
If if you're listening to this and you love Alan's energy as I do, just find him on Alan Acton. It's Alan and then Acton. He doesn't have a website, but
No.
you can find him on Facebook. And
Yeah.
if you want to contact me at susankennard.co.uk or
Oh, I'm on Google.
co.uk, then you can, if you can't find him, but he says he's on Google as well, so
Yeah.
just
Apparently I'm on that. I've checked that and I'm on pages and pages so people can contact me on
so
there.
we just put your name into
Yeah.
Google, and Alan Acton will come up with his beautiful smiling face. So if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or iTunes or Stitcher, you won't see his beautiful face. But if you're listening to this on my YouTube channel, which is Susan Kennard, or you're listening to this across social media, then you will get to see his beautiful face. So thanks so much for joining me, Alan. And
Pleasure.
thank you so much for listening into The Spiritual Awakener. If you want to hear my spiritual awakening story, go to episode 1. And if you've got a story that you'd like to share with me and my listeners, I'd love to hear from you. Find me on susankennard.co.uk. So until then, we'll see you on the next episode of The Spiritual Awakener.